Hi, welcome to the video series covering the features of the toolbox called HyperWorks LiftShip. In this video, I will be specifically covering the loading of the LiftShip toolbox and loading our first ship constructor model. So as you can see here, we have HyperWorks 2022.1 installed, and we have the OptiStruct profile loaded. So in order to load this toolbox, it is part of a new framework called the Extensions Manager. We'll go ahead and activate that. Go ahead and click Add an Extension, and we'll only have to do this the one time upon a fresh launch of the toolbox. And here we have the LiftShip 2 August 22 build. There potentially could be some other versions released, but generally speaking, you just have to select the folder which it's contained, and it will automatically find it and recognize it. We'll go ahead and activate it, and there we'll see our LiftShip toolbox loaded into the drop-down menu. So this is not a video kind of covering the basics of HyperWorks and the interface. So hopefully everyone has a little bit of familiarity with that already. Really, I just want to highlight the unique tools to this toolbox for the LiftShip. It follows a very similar framework for any of your pre-processing workflows, importing your model, preparing the geometry, meshing, any mesh kind of corrections, and then specifically we will have applications of lifting location, support structure, any type of concentrated masses that come from the ship constructor model, tying any components together through contacts. We want to check our model through the validation, make sure those element qualities are good for the solver, and then we'll get into the setup analysis and then our post-processing. So that's the gist of it. So again, as I mentioned, let's go ahead and start with the ship constructor import. That will be actually covered, I should say that ship constructor export will be covered in another video provided by SSI, and we'll have that linked in our community forums. That package itself will be exported from ship constructor, and that's what we'll be referencing here. So let's go ahead and click on here, and we'll go ahead and navigate over to the ship constructor package. So again, you may have this stored somewhere else. Here you can see we have the U200, the 201, and the VTB 140. Specifically, so these two are modules that kind of go together in a similar model, but we'll be focusing on the U201. These are in metric, and then this other one is in English for those who would like to try that out. So let's go ahead and select on the parent folder and click OK. And in the bottom left corner, you'll see the status bar updating. Fundamentally, what it's doing is going through that package, which I will open up here. Go and drag this on down, and it's the U201. And this again is from Ship Constructor, and we have a parser, specifically designed to read this package and bring all of the geometric data of all the parts, and then all the metadata, and assign that metadata to the respective parts, aka components. So we have, if we go to parts, everything comes in a step format. It's all based on the GUID. Again, this comes from ShipCon, and it's this GUID, this name, that gets referenced in the metadata. So if we go to lifting properties, we can see we have our material properties and our prop properties. Materials, again, will have all the information necessary for any finite element analysis, your Young's modulus, your Poisson's ratio, density. Part properties will have thicknesses if those were specified as well. Again, it's just the metadata that's necessary. If you've exported some vector information for lifting, that can also be imported. So once it gets done, it takes about maybe a minute and a half. There's several hundred components, parts, and we'll go ahead and preview that here in HyperWorks. Alright, should just be about done. You can see it reading the metadata now, and there we go. So in our run folder, there will actually be a log file a text file, and it will contain this information. This is a little log message basically indicating what was read, where it was read from, and most importantly, what parts didn't come in with any thickness assignment. So this isn't going to be all the time. It's kind of a intended application just to inform you of this feature. And note that, an unrealistically thin thickness was applied to these parts that didn't have thicknesses. So we'll be able to filter these in the HyperWorks session. Let's go ahead and scroll on down. And here we can see we have our density units. We have our pressures. We have, again, our units of length, time to import. And then we also have like a little note here, particularly for OptiStruct, it prefers these units. But again, HyperWorks is, unit agnostic. If you prefer to obviously do it in another units, then, by all means you can do that. You might need to scale the model, for example. Otherwise, this is just, great information just to double check to make sure you're mentally already in the right unit system. So we'll have to take this and modify this just a little bit once we're in HyperWorks. With that, that is our first video on loading the ship constructor model as well as the lift ship toolbox. I hope you found this helpful. Please leave us feedback on our Altair community forums.